And sometimes it just takes someone to give permission, even though we don't need it. Sabrina said it several times in a lot of her posts and a lot of her other podcasts. It gives permission to feel that way, or to be that way, or to be yourself. It's so funny. We try to fit in and be what we think we're supposed to be. So, that's kind of how I found myself. And now I'm in a place where I get to still, do little podcast, not podcasts, but do little Zoom videos with even like boys' homes, or even executives that are stuck at this 6-year-old trauma state where they're struggling to lead their team, and talk them through that and help them navigate those thoughts. Go back to that space and say, what do we need to pull out? Because sometimes there's one root. I pulled that root of abandonment, allowed God to take that from me. I'm like, I don't want it, but it gives me, if I keep it, I have permission to behave badly. And he's like, but that's not who you are. I'm like, fine, just take it. And it's surrendering those things and giving up the familiar things that we can hide behind from our past, but using them for purpose, saying, you know what, I used to have this happened to me. It's not my identity. And so when I feel like a failure, I'm like, I am so successful. I just speak the opposite. And there's those days, I still have them, where we struggle. I think we all have those, and feel ashamed of what's happened, or to share a story. And I'm like, you know what, but it did happen. So it's okay if it's out there, I say it. It's truth. And I think that's where being real, that brings freedom. And yeah. so so it's been pretty exciting, sharing this book. It's only been out uh, about a month, and I just ordered 50 copies because I had a few people asking for signed copies. I'm like, what? It's just very humbling. So I'm able to write a personal message, individual to each person. I just pray about it, and what speak life, speak truth or wisdom that I've learned along the way. Success is overcoming. If you have a heartbeat, you have a purpose, and it's only for you. There's a reason you're here. And so those kinds of things, have really been exciting. That's new. So this part's new, but it's making me excited about finishing my own solo book. And it will have everything from the streets. I'll probably have to put a warning on it, but a lot of different experiences and things I saw, as a kid, and how that affected my thinking, and how I had to shift to change it. Being afraid of the dark. We have, when you realize you have something about yourself that might not be as positive as you want, you think about, wait, why am I afraid of the dark? There I am, I'm a single mom, and I realized I was giving that to my children. I was like, oh, turn on the bathroom light before you go to bed and leave my room. And I was like, wait. And they're like, wait, should I do that? So I was realizing the kids weren't following me. And let's look at that. And it took me, to realize that I was abused a lot, with somebody coming in the middle of the night. And so I was making an agreement with myself and the enemy that I was expecting somebody to come in. So I'm like, believing that. And so I had to honestly get rid of that and say, you know what, I'm safe. I'm safe in this place. I'm no longer in that space. And turn the light off for the first time. Something so simple. But I told the kids, I'm like, wait, if I accepted Christ and he is the light of the world and he is in me, I will never be in darkness, no matter where I go. That is, I will never be in darkness again. And so that got me to overcome and stop making that agreement and go into bed with fear that I didn't even realize I still had. Just simple stuff. So when you go through your you go through your life and you're looking at some of your behaviors, it's so worth going through and seeing, um, what your patterns are, what you're thinking about, and remove those thoughts, and replace them, figure it out and be like, okay, I need to face that. I need to deal with that thing. Because it seems like it'll circle back. It seems to always circle back. I call it like a day of reckoning. There's always a day of reckoning. You can push things off, but our bodies, our minds are so brilliant, resilient, um, and so, yeah, it's just, success to me, is being that victor mindset, and bringing others through that darkness and sharing the way out. So hopefully I can continue to, lead men and women in that space, as an executive consultant, but people developer. I love that space. Um, so yeah.
Very cool. Can you tell people a little bit about your website and what you
Sure.
do as far as your mentoring and your teaching?
Yeah. So I started my website, Thinking Sunshine, as a way for those that I was on call for about 63 kids for suicide prevention with my phone, and I realized they needed a voice, more often. So I started more social media, and I started posting daily, and then I realized my executives were needing the same things. So it was pretty fabulous. So in 2020, honestly, a good thing that came out of the pandemic, I was home. Everything was home. So I thought this is the time to finally share my story. So I didn't start until 2020. And I began Thinking Sunshine, which is kind of a play on words. So it's from negative thinking to positive thinking, but also my name. So as a thought leader, so Thinking Sunshine, and I started to blog. I did a couple podcasts and put a few videos on. I just put the book on there, so you can order directly from the website. And I promise to begin to do more on there. I need to be able to learn how to share between, because Facebook, LinkedIn, and I can do all those, but then putting those onto my website, because then but it's kind of cool because if you go to each one, the content is different. But it's more, I try and do daily words of wisdom, like lessons learned, things. And then I post those images that are shareable on my website, even though they went in my post on LinkedIn. These are things like lessons learned often too late, things that I wish I would have known or someone told me. Friends forever is normally not real. You shift through life. I thought there was something wrong with me. People coming and going still. I'm like, wait, it's just the season of life we're in. You're in college now. You have these college friends. You start this new career. You have career friends. Some people will fall off. They're still there, but they're just not as close. And so things like that. And then the heart pictures I've put on there, that is a special way that I feel like God reminds me He loves me, is I will find hearts anywhere. I chewed up a piece of gum on the ground. It's ridiculous. So I post them on there. No, it's really like a potato, things you wouldn't even think of. I'm like, really? Piece of bacon? So that's kind of fun. People from all over the world now have added pictures. And when they see a heart, they think of being loved. I'm like, you're not alone. And so they've adopted, this. So I said, please share them. Please put them on here. Send them, or I'll post them for you. So yeah, so that's been pretty fun. Yeah. So
what do you think is the number one lesson you've learned from your life?
I would say, probably, one of the biggest things, forgiveness, I know is a big part that I hear from a lot of people as well, forgiving. I held a lot of anger, a lot of resentment that I really needed to get rid of. And, it came down to something I didn't think about. I'm sitting there and I found out, and this was true, but most of, some of the people that abused me, they were abused. Somebody abused them. And when I realized that they felt the pain that I felt, I was able to honestly let it go much more quickly and have empathy, even though they shouldn't do that, but I'm like, wow, their day of reckoning of knowing what they did to me, I pray for them to find peace in that and forgive themselves. That's huge. So forgiving and knowing that we're not perfect and no one is perfect, and loving each other the way we are. I know that, my mom's not perfect, but I love her for where she is and who she is. Even if we don't support some things people do, it's loving them in that space. And I believe that's like the, acceptance and again, with time doesn't heal, but love does. You can almost love someone into health just by caring. So yeah, that's probably number one.
That's awesome. And then to close up, what do you wish for?
Oh, what do I wish for? I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. That is super sweet. I wish for, freedom and healing to come from, the stories that we share, for the things that I share, for my voice to go farther than I'll ever know, that it would change a heart, heal a heart, that it would connect people, be an example of light and love to the world. Honestly, I think we need more of that. So my wish is honestly to reflect reflect that, and for more women and men to be free from feeling like they're not enough, and to be able to step in and be able to speak out and be bold. That would be the ultimate wonderful reward to see. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, I thank you so much for sharing your story. I thank you so much for hanging out with us and sharing your book. Can you show us the book? The cover?
Oh yeah. Yeah. So there's the book.
Absolutely. For those that want to check it out, it's at her website, thinkingsunshine.com. If you resonated with Sunshine and all the goodness that she shared, make sure you check out her website. I love it.
There's me. It's such a surreal feeling. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, that's me. Yeah, sorry. I'm way too excited about.
That's awesome. I love it. I love it. So for those of you that resonated with Sunshine and her story, make sure you check out her website, follow her on social media, reach out. She's a very loving, kind individual, as you can see, and she's more than willing to help share and all that goodness. So any closing thoughts?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm like, me? I guess one of the biggest points I didn't mention is, make sure that you look at your identity as who you are, not what's happened to you. And remember not to be so hard on yourself, and don't label yourself, as a street kid or as a failure in relationship, or whatever it is that happened to you is not you. Your purpose from the beginning of the day you were born stayed the same. All those things are temporary. They all have happened to you and they give you wisdom. Just glean the wisdom from it and move forward, where it's all learning, and become the best you can be from those things. So
Absolutely. Very
yeah.
cool. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. For those of you that are watching live, thank you for being here, for listening in. For those of you watching on the replay, make sure you hashtag replay so that we know that you were here and that you were hanging out, and we can send you some love. This community is expanding every single day, and it's filled with females who are striving to do better than they did yesterday. For those of you that are new to this podcast and like content like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button, follow, like, and share. If you have an amazing story to share, I've struggle to triumph, be sure to reach out to me here or at herversion.life. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria, and I am so grateful to be here sharing a platform that allows people to share their truth and inspire others. As always, do something awesome.